order. It is now 7:14. Tonight is May 23rd, 2016. It's the Town Finance Committee meeting. We're being recorded by Area 58. So on the agenda tonight is mail, reserve fund transfers / line item transfers, town meeting recap, discussion of budgets, members to be reappointed. Nikki and Gordon's terms expire 6/15/16. Review of procedures and policies, review calendar, public participation, and adjournment. So there's one item that we don't have on the list that we need to make sure we have on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay.
And that is meeting minutes.
Yep,
And we
I
need
took
to
them
do
off.
Yeah, we need to do it. We need to do all of them that haven't been done and have
Right.
everybody here at that meeting.
I took them off specifically because I didn't send out the ones, and I figured that we didn't remember which ones were up for review.
So we just need to make sure we finish all of those before people's terms expire.
Yep. I will send them out for review.
Okay, so for mail, we've got a list of the elected officials. And then we have a copy of the Beacon.
He's double checking.
Oh, there's a typo there. Okay, so that's the mail. Reserve fund transfers, line item transfers, none. Town meeting recap. We finished in one night.
Yay!
I still can't believe
The only items that I had thought about making sure that we have for next year is everybody on the finance committee has a sheet that says what our recommendations are, and what the vote is, if it's different than unanimous. And then the meeting before town meeting, we need to go through and write at least a summary of whether or not we're for or against and the reasons why. So we can just read off that list. It would make more sense to do the ones that...
Yeah, I think having talking points as
Yeah.
part of it is important.
Anybody else have anything for ideas for the next town meeting?
The review. So, you know how we had the meeting with the selectmen beforehand? We didn't get to discuss anything about it.
Okay.
Is there any way we can get notice, not the night of town
Yeah, well,
meeting?
the problem is we just settled those contracts. So obviously our goal is to get those contracts to you as soon as we can. That came down, it was just approved on Friday. You know, it was just sort of like we found out Friday morning it was finally blessed by the union.
So
When we talking about the fire, but so yeah, I mean we wanted to make a commitment to you. I think that you get it, you know, at least a month before. But unfortunately, when you're at the table, you don't always settle so quickly. And so
Can we make that a point of bargaining going forward, that we have this
Can
settled?
we make a bylaw change that says that you can't bring...
No, what the board could simply say as part of bargaining, what Mel's saying is simply, you know, we're going to continue to bargain after this date, but we'll tell you right now, we're not planning on bringing anything to town meeting that isn't settled by such and such date.
yeah, well, I mean, that would be nice in theory, Charlie,
Yeah.
but we'd be having to schedule special town meetings all the time.
But we're gonna have special town meetings anyways.
Yeah.
Well, this time we are.
Well, no, but it'd be and we've done this before, if they miss the deadline, for instance, we have the dispatchers. as an
Right, they
example.
missed the deadline.
And if, whatever town, you know, I know we're gonna have one late this summer, early this fall, but we would bring it up, we won't have a special town meeting for them. It'll be whatever special town meeting comes up next.
Yeah.
I just think it's
The nice thing
important.
is, yeah, it is important.
I think it's important for us as a board to have a policy in place that we have.
We do have a policy.
That
we have a policy, we broke it. We said
That
that
we-
we wouldn't vote on anything
Right.
that we don't have at least a week's notice on.
But along those lines, I think it's going to be good for you also to reach the goal to have your recommendations in the warrant for the time of printing. I know I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying that we used to do that, and they noticed that the last couple of years we haven't had recommendations.
But
on
we
that.
also haven't had
No, I
an
know.
amount of money that we know that we have until a week before the April.
No, not for the
deadline.
capital, not for the capital thing. So the capital budget is pretty much decided, like we finished that in February before we went to print. Even if you just tackled the capital planning articles, that way people have a sense of whether or not you're supporting them or not. because we had presented those to you in February.
But I didn't think we got your,
Well, we had our presentation till February, but we basically took that to meeting in one night to get those articles that were printed as approved and not approved.
Yeah.
And that was at 10:30, 11
No, I know
o'clock
you
at
guys,
night.
I know you've been
So-
forced with like no quorum, like I get it.
but
I'm
we
just
did,
saying-
we did get.
We didn't get all those
No.
items. We kind of went through, we bullet pointed a few things, if you remember
There
correctly.
were just a couple of things. So the only thing I would think that would be good, just if capital planning comes in and you guys support those and you know that we have the funding for those, I get for the things, the budget things that you may not support because those are in the operating budget. But if we can at least target those things that are funded through free cash or overlay that we know for sure are balanced, that those get at least voted on so that in the warrant, people have a sense of where you guys stand.
All right, then we need to have the sources set up.
Yeah, it's either gonna be for capital items, it's either gonna be free cash or overlay. And in fact, I think the assessors just voted the overlay that night. Like, they typically will vote that the night before, but we know,
We know that the money
Right.
exists.
we know the money exists, so.
And usually I've already talked to the assessors and know what they're willing to
Right.
raise.
Right,
They don't vote it until town meeting because they don't want to vote more than they have to, so.
yeah. It's just a goal if we're talking about town meeting, that's just, I know that I've gotten feedback from some people saying that they would like that, if it's possible. The rest of the stuff I get, I mean, definitely people were challenged on quorum and, you know, you guys, I get it. I serve there, I totally get it. But that would be helpful.
Okay, what else?
That was my big one, was the contracts.
Okay.
It was so fast, I don't know.
I know, it went slow and then it went fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought at one time we were gonna be there for 3 nights when we were on
We
the
did.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have different questions. I mean, that's what town meeting is about, you know? But it just, all of a sudden it went so quickly that when John Bruno said Article 45, I was like, really? Or, like, that's it?
The one thing I wish that we did was if it's a money, I don't know, it seems like Articles 5 for the reserve fund and the contracts are all part of the operating side of things.
Yeah.
It would seem like it would be wise to keep them grouped as part of the first few articles that we do in order, as opposed to taking those out of the lottery, because those contracts and the revolving funds are really the operations of the town, and that's what we're doing with the first few. So it would make sense to keep those first 11 articles as the first 11 articles that we do and not pull those out.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we can talk about. I think the whole spirit of this lottery system, which I'm not so sure if I love yet either, to be honest with you. It does tend to keep people there, I guess, but I think the spirit of that was that if we got all those contracts done, then everybody would just leave.
But that's
We
the
saw
same as
that
wage and personnel.
I think we saw that after Article 4 this year.
Oh, you did?
I can personally speak that when there were a couple of counts done throughout the course of the evening, the first count was in relation to the wage and personnel. There were 118 votes.
Okay,
The second vote, there were 65 votes.
okay.
And that was probably about 9:30.
Was that on the special? Did we go? No.
I just remember the numbers when the counts were being made and presented to John Bruno from the counters,
Yeah.
that we lost 50 people in that span of an hour.
Yeah.
After Article 4. I think moving more things to the front of the line is only going to exacerbate that problem.
Yeah, I think so. I get what you're saying. I mean, the nice thing is next year, we don't really have any contracts.
Well,
We
you
have
did-
all we have one that's everybody, which is everything, control officers.
Patrolman, yeah, that's it.
But we would still have those for the
Yeah.
wage
Oh,
increases.
right.
And where they're part of the operating budget,
Right.
I would think that we should be doing everything that's part of the operating budget first, and everything that's not part of the operating budget afterwards.
But I think that would need to be a bylaw change, right? It would have to be a bylaw change, because
Well, didn't the way I thought the way it was written was that that the,
We're very specific in what it says about which articles.
So,
I mean, mind you, we have a town meeting coming up. If you want to get a bylaw change to be effective today, put your thinking caps on and it can be.
get my 100 signatures and force a special before that special.
Well, you could, well, 200 to force a special. But, no, seriously, I mean, even, you could ask the board to, I mean, normally we don't do the 10 signature requirement for the departments and committees, so.
I guess
Yeah,
I'll
think
look at
about
that
it.
bylaw
Yeah,
and
think
see if we can make a change so that we handle operating expenses within the first portion.
yeah.
Because the other items, we're gonna talk about the buildings, the maintenance, free cash, all those other items, debt exclusions. Whether they pass or not, they don't affect the operations.
You're right. Right. No, it's a valid point. So look at the bylaw, and we have, we have a little bit, as Charlie mentioned, we are gonna have a special either late summer or early fall for the senior center and perhaps the fire department operational budget, depending on the revenues from the ambulances.
So I would put something on the agenda for the August meeting to look at those numbers with Sandy.
Look at which tenders.
Ambulance
Oh.
revenue.
I've already been recording them, so.
There's members to be reappointed. Is there a motion for reappointment?
I would move,
Go ahead.
I'd move to reappoint all members whose terms are set to expire on 6/15/16.
I second.
Okay.
All members want to, even Nikki?
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you don't show up to a meeting. I haven't talked to Nikki the last few weeks, so I would just make the appointment.
Awesome. No, I think
And
that's great.
if she doesn't want to do it, she can not be sworn in. Sorry, Nikki.
I heard dogs do.
Oh,
Yeah.
soon, yes. So, is there any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Oh, you're excited.
Yeah, I'm real excited.
Who's going to attend the,
So it can't be me or Nikki.
right.
And that's the 14th, Charlie, right?
Yes.
Okay. So somebody needs to go
Somebody
to the
has
selectmen's
to
meeting
come to the meeting.
What day is that?
on the 14th, Tuesday the 14th.
14th of June?
Bless you.
Bless you.
I'll
I
go, but you
can
have
do
to
that.
take me for drinks because it's my birthday.
I don't have a problem with the drinks part.
I think I heard a volunteer.
I can do the 14th.
It sounds like we're all going for drinks on your birthday.
Sounds good to me. What time is it?
Charlie, you don't know what that's scheduled for yet, do you?
Yeah, I think I
think so.
picked a time, probably 7:35, I think.
Oh, Nikki just sent a text. She can't make it.
You want to give her the good news?
No. We're still in session. She could ask us to revote. All right. So procedures and policies. We have a debt policy. We need to review. We need to review the different policies that we
I
have.
have it here,
written.
Charlie.
Oh, 7:35.
Yeah, I was just looking through my email.
We signed the community compact
Yeah.
with the state, and as part of that was looking at financial policies for more transparency, and we have gone out to bid and accepted a bid, signed a contract with You signed the contract, right, Charlie?
We signed a contract with the state so far, that's
All
called.
right.
We have to wait for their documents back. Yeah.
So we have a firm who's going to come in and help us with financial policies and different things. It's someone that we've worked with before, Eric Kinship.
Okay.
So,
So he's done training for people in the treasurer collector's office and a couple of other things, so he's familiar with the town and its operations.
Okay.
he used to work for our auditors too, so.
Oh.
And he's been treasurer, collector, and accountant for other municipalities.
Okay. We need to have an OPEB meeting too.
Oh, yeah, a trust meeting.
Yeah.
But Charlie, on the health insurance, the consultant,
Yeah, I'm meeting with them later this week, in fact.
Okay.
There's a group, not Mayflower Group, but the people who've been working with this consultant. They'll probably be meeting some point next month.
okay. Do you think you're gonna need a reserve fund transfer for that end of?
I don't know. The meeting right now will be on the 23rd. So you'll have one more meeting before then. I can be down before then. Between then and July 15th.
Can we do a reserve fund transfer? Or is it just line item?
Yeah, your reserve fund transfers up to July 15th.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'd want you to do it if I'm spending the money specifically for fiscal 17, though.
Okay.
Decide that. And let's see how this plays out. It'd be better if I asked reserve fund transfer for fiscal 17 in the fiscal 17 reserve fund.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm only saying this because she's here.
I should go. No, exactly.
Like, do I have to go?
Anything else?
Do you
I
want
gave
to,
everyone a revenue sheet. Revenues are up.
and then the only, I just wanted to mention one thing
Okay.
to you, whenever you're ready. You talk about the
Yep.
revenue.
Revenues are up almost, well, just about 15% over last year's. And they're already up over what I estimated for FY16 revenues. So we're doing well.
Okay.
If you take a look at the motor vehicle excise, we're up over $1 million in that, which is good. And the ambulance revenues are coming up. Right now, they're at $236,000. Last year, for the whole year, it was about $203,000.
Sandy, in relation to the ambulances, are we seeing a level number of runs, and this is compared to last year, or?
Yeah, we don't see a level number of runs, that's it. I did a spreadsheet with 5 years of revenues, I think it's 5 years of revenues, and I split it out monthly. And you can see how it varies greatly. It just depends on how many calls they get.
Well, I think also Mel's point might be, let's find out what our average dollars per run is.
Yeah, let's see what we're getting back as a return
Right.
with the new rate.
This year, they have a system that I can get the number of runs. In previous years, we didn't have that type of a system. And, well, yeah.
Well, I can tell you that the fire chief knows the number of runs, so. he
Right, but
could-
the number of runs also isn't the number of payments.
I know, so that's the thing, I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, 'cause I'm looking
We may
for-
have a run that we don't even transport, that we have a patient refusal.
Right.
Or we may have a run that we don't get paid for, you know, so that does vary. So we could sort of match it. Like, for instance, I know that February, our number of runs were down for that particular month. Obviously, our revenues were higher than they were the year before, only because we had changed the fees. So I know that Sandy's gonna meet with, I think the fire chief and Patty later on in the week, because Patty's out until Thursday.
Yeah, I'm meeting with them next week.
Oh, next week, to sort of look at those kinds of things.
Good.
We want to make sure it's tight.
I also got an email from the superintendent about attending the June 9th meeting to talk about the land transfer sale to Kingston, which I'm adamantly opposed to, so that ought to be a fun meeting.
I went to the Silver Lake meeting on last Thursday. It was John Grease's last
Yeah.
day. And Fred came and talked a little bit about that, because all the attorneys seem to be a little confused about how it should be handled. And so at one point, they thought that it needed to be just a majority vote by the towns and not all three. It was Fred's opinion that we should get all three. It should be unanimous. That's Fred's advice. Even if it's not required, he feels that they should. And I think that's what they're going to talk about on Thursday, because I think Maureen Springer their subcommittee was going to get together and write up something.
Thank you letter?
No, it wasn't a thank you letter. It was I think it was what the actual bill that the legislature will actually vote on, because it needs to be done that way before it goes to the three towns. I did mention to them at the time that we were planning on having a special town meeting, regardless of whether it's recommended by, that way we don't have to pay for another town meeting. So it would be great if we could time it so that that could be on our special, because a town like Plimpton will have to just do a special just for that one item. So again, it's just going forward and we'll see. But Gordon, I don't know if you want me to just touch upon the Duxbury.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, as I think all of you know, that we were approached by Duxbury a few months ago about the potential of them taking over our dispatch. And then we were sort of in a waiting period, because they were contacting the state and they were negotiating with the state what they would subsidize our aid with them taking it on. And so Charlie and I met with the chiefs a week ago Thursday with the state, and so they gave us sort of an idea of what they would be paying for. So they are willing to contribute $100,000 a year for this particular operation. So tomorrow night I'm going to talk about it because our selectmen haven't been updated yet on this latest thing. So I'm just sort of giving you a quick overview and letting you know that we do plan on doing a public forum for people to come to, and we can explain. So we met with Duxbury. Some of the numbers, and I'll just go over it quickly with you, we won't get into too much detail, but some of the numbers is, right now our budget is roughly $300,000 to run the dispatch center. Duxbury will charge us $150.
Net.
It's really net. So it's $250 minus the 100, so it would be $150 out of our pocket. So that's about $150,000 that we would save. And then if we add in benefits that we would save for insurance, we would save an additional $25,000 on that. So we're looking at somewhere around $175,000 savings. So that sort of got our interest. And so last Monday, we met with our chiefs, the police chief, fire chief, and Matt Tucker, who's accepted a position in Duxbury and will be leaving as the manager on Saturday. But he will stay part-time with us to kind of until we either decide to go to Duxbury, or we decide that we're staying and we need to hire a new manager. But we met with some sergeants, some captains, some police officers. We all just got in a room around a conference table, and we went through each item that a dispatcher does in the dispatch center and what the new procedure for that was. And so everything went pretty smoothly, to be honest with you, technology today. And we'll get more into this during the forum, but when we talk about a dark station, I know people like to use that term, but the reality is we're kind of dark now because we don't have a police officer at the station at all times. And I would say that when it comes to the fire department, we have more people walking into the fire department when we don't have people there that they're on runs than we do at the police station. So most of the procedural things, if people come in, the dispatcher can't really let the person in until there's a police officer in the station. And so we automatically have to wait for that police officer to get. And the state's willing to pay for infrastructure for our building to make it safe for somebody to run in and lock the door if they need to be safe from somebody, to have cameras in the lobby so that Duxbury will see and be able to talk to the people that are there. So we're working out the details, and we can present those more when we do the forum. I think a tentative date is on June 1st. But we did go through the list of different things, and everything has a great procedure that's in place that we feel that both chiefs feel very comfortable with, the customer service or the service that we would provide. There's only one thing that sort of we're like, and that is so sort of minor but not, is the keys to the building, to these buildings. How would we handle that? And so I talked with Matt, he's going to be doing the grant to 911 for infrastructure things, and I said perhaps they could pay for like maybe a keypad at town hall that would have codes that we would know who was coming into the building, and you know, we would only give specific codes out for each department so we would know. So there is a way to solve that problem. But that's...
And the other way is that we just transfer the keys to this building. So if someone's going to need a key, they're going to have to, unfortunately...
Oh, you mean keys to
the
here?
building that
Yeah.
they
Yes,
built.
so that, I mean, the reason we've been doing it down there is, okay, let's assume that somebody needs to get in the building. Why do they need to get in the building? Because there's nobody here to let them in. So they need to find a place that is open, that has the key. But police station, we won't have anybody. Fire station, we can't depend on because they're all on calls. So it's either something as Kim mentioned, or the other thing is to say, whoever needs a key have to work things out with the selectman's office.
So they could just call this number here, 294.
Can't
I'm only 2 doors over, right? I'll
we,
just come right over.
can't we just keep it simple and put lock boxes on the affected buildings? That those codes are very easily changed.
Yeah, but again, like at least like this way we'd know who was, like right now they have to sign their name to get the key, and we know who has the key, and we know who's in the building. But if we just have a lockbox, then it sort of takes that,
Well, we could put a,
You could have an electronic one that it
yeah,
gives you a,
that's what I'm saying.
let you know who's
Right.
coming in. Yeah.
That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about, electronic one, so that we know who's coming in the building. So that's an idea.
You give, as you were mentioning, give people a unique code. If they're coming in for a meeting Thursday night, the only ones in the buildings, you give them a unique code for that specific event, so you know, and then that code can be disarmed,
Yep.
the next day or something like that.
So when it comes to staff, we feel pretty confident that full-time staff, most of them will receive offers at Duxbury so that we wouldn't be looking at layoffs. We're looking at a potential of having somebody stay in-house for a brief period of time from during the week from 4 to midnight perhaps, so that it sort of gets us to see how it feels. But even if, like, let's say we decide that we really do want to keep that position, that it's important to have somebody there between 4 and midnight during the week. That would cost, with benefits, because we had Sandy cost out, if they had a family plan, the worst case scenario would somebody around $55,000. So it would still be a substantial savings, and we would still have somebody in the building until midnight during the week. It just would be the weekends and after from midnight to 8 that we wouldn't. So, because we're going to move probably the police chief's assistant to her office will be the reception area in dispatch. So we're working out the fine details. Like, we're kind of here now, but I just wanted to give you an update. Tomorrow night I'll be updating Troy and Tom, and depending on how, if they're interested to hold a public forum and want to continue the process, that's what we'll do.
do you know who's using the community room now at the police station?
Well, that's the only thing that's the other thing that may, during the week, during the day, during those hours when we have somebody down there, people can still use the room. But if that role goes away at night, then, but the only people that really use it are the Boy Scouts right now. But during the day, like Triad will use it, but people are around during the day to let people in. So, again, the biggest challenge were the keys to this building. Everything else was a pretty easy fix with technology. So, anyway.
It might have been a meeting I missed, but
Can you just backpedal for a minute and
Sure.
fill in a few blanks for me? Okay, so Duxbury wants to take this role on.
Yes.
What's their incentive for doing this?
Okay, so their incentive is, obviously, they're getting state aid as well, and they want to, so the state is sort of not pushing small communities, but trying to say to you, you know, we are one of the only states that have multiple dispatch centers. Texas has 3 in the whole state. And so the state is sort of, like, we get subsidized for about $50,000 a year from the state, and maybe 30,000. And so they're saying, we don't want to. And when we did this regional study, probably, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, we did a regional study with 12 towns. And we did it for a year and a half, because we were really, I thought we were seriously looking at it. And at the end of the day, we went around the room, we said, you know, who's in and who's out? And each chief said, I'm in if I can run it. So people want the control of it, and they want to be the leader and in control. And we have not one chief of our chiefs, or I think for 1 second, we would not get a quality service from Duxbury. They are the top notch. They have the best trainers. They are the most professional we have great dispatchers here, don't get me wrong, but we feel that our residents will not see a decrease in service at all when it comes to dispatch. So what does Duxbury get an incentive? Well, they qualify for more grant money for equipment, and they are the leaders of the dispatch, probably for South Shore, because I would imagine that they want to take on one more town after us.
I was going to say, we're the beta.
No,
No,
Plimpton. Plimpton came up on board last 2 years ago. And Plimpton's very, very happy. And Plimpton has already never had anybody at their station, so they have always used just a phone. And so we went to a technical meeting a couple weeks ago, and they invited the chief from Plimpton, and we were talking about all the technology that we would want, which is, you know, cameras and all this, you know, things in the cruisers, and the state's willing to pay for that. And now Plimpton's like, wait a minute, maybe I might want that. So, yeah. So we've got sort of command, and we're trying to get the best and the most that we can from the state, because this is the time to do it. Like, this is the time to be proactive and not being forced into a situation where, you know, we're not negotiating a good contract for our town. And so it's not a done deal in the sense of, we have to get a feeling of what the community really wants. And we also have to finalize a contract that makes sense for Halifax. We know about the numbers, but as Charlie would say, like, I want it to be based on a calculation, so there's a lot of personalities that are out of the cost going forward. So this would be a 5-year contract, and I would like to tie it to something, sort of like we do with Silver Lake, so that, you know, if the aid goes up, then we'll see our assessment go down. If our aid goes down, we see the assessment go up. But we talked to the state, and, you know, I have been going to some seminars, and when they talked about us getting our small grants taken away, and certainly there hasn't been an official vote on that, but this is, we're trying to get people.
But that grant that we're receiving now is only $30,000.
It's just less than 30,000, it's like 26,000 total. So anyway, so that's it. So we don't know for sure, but we just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what we're working on. And, you know, taxpayers have said, you know, we want savings, and we want us to look at different things. And, you know, regionalization is really where we're going to save money. Obviously, you know, you heard at the town meeting, you know, you sat through when we had Barry Bluestone in here. You know, we don't have a large commercial base, and so the burden does fall on the taxpayers. And so if there's a way that we can provide a service that is equal and we can save some money, then we certainly need to look at it.
So you're going to put an underride on the vote?
Oh, you're so funny. Can we just take a deep breath? Oh my God. You're like the father I could never please. If you want to.
Has this all been vetted through legal?
We will when the board is-
Yeah, I've sent him the draft of the agreement already, but I didn't ask him, because until the board says move ahead, I didn't want to spend money on council.
So I'm going to sort of, like I said, We just had that meeting a week ago on Thursday, because that really, we were just waiting. And then we haven't met, so I'm gonna give Troy and Tom an update tomorrow, and then we'll see where we go from there. And if they say, okay, it's worth exploring, then on June 1st, perhaps we'll have the public forum and we can get some input. If that goes well, and it's the decision of the board that that's what we do, I think the earliest that Duxbury can take us on is October. So, that's it.
I think the other things are that our current manager is leaving, period. I mean, one way or the other is going to be leaving. And what that showed us is how fragile our current system is. We have 3 full-time dispatchers plus him. And if any one of them is out, it puts a fair amount of stress on what we have there. The other thing is that we only do have 1 dispatcher. And if we had 2, it would be too many, a vast amount of time. The problem is you never know when you'll need that second one. You know, a perfect example is the guy that got caught in the trench, was it a month and a half ago or something like that? Boom. You can't expect, the thing is that you have 2 dispatchers, okay, you know, one person takes care of that and one person takes care of everything else that's happening. Except as it happened right while that was going on, we had, what was it?
3 medicals.
Yeah, so.
On top of it. And so, while the person, right.
Forgetting about regional for the moment, having more dispatchers in a cluster, it gives us a more robust opportunity to answer the calls.
So how many
They're gonna have
dispatchers?
four on, they think they have 4, they're gonna have 4 on a
So we
shift.
have 2 right now, I believe, right?
No, they have 3.
3? Oh, that's right, the third one's with us.
Right, and so, so what Charlie brings up a good point. When somebody's in a trench, the dispatcher isn't just saying, okay, you're in a trench. They're the ones making the call to get the team here. They're the ones coordinating if somebody needs to be airlifted. They're the ones coordinating the airlifting. So they're doing a lot of stuff at the same time that you have these medical calls coming in and you're trying to do EMD. And what that is you're walking through somebody through CPR, or, you know, you have to ask a series of questions. And so the thing about Duxbury is that they do have more people in the room to help. So somebody might be listening and somebody else is dispatching.
So we
And
don't
while
have a
somebody
fail-
else is calling.
We don't have a failover system right now? If nobody answers 911?
Well, yeah, we do. It goes to Bridgewater. So Bridgewater would dispatch, and they do. I mean, our dispatchers stay on it. Very seldom do we not answer 911 call, but they're our backup. So we talked briefly about having Duxbury be our backup, you know, for the time being. If we can come to an agreement, then they could be our backup. But Charlie makes, you know, Matt has been a tremendous communications manager. We're sorry to see him go, but, you know, he's got a young family and he needs to look at his future. And we have another potential of another dispatcher leaving very shortly if there should be another opening. So,
And the third person,
And the
very
third-
likely
yes.
retiring within the next year.
right, so but that shouldn't be the only reason why we do it. I mean, we just keep hiring. We've had a hard time keeping people because of our pay scale and maintaining them, and that's the problem. It's the same that we do with the other public safety areas, is that, you know, once we train them, they go off into another place. Since Matt's been here, we've had the most stable staffing that we've had, and he was able to tap into dispatchers that he knew from other departments that work part-time for us, which has been a godsend, really, because they've come to us pretty much trained. We just need to do, you know, in-house training. So, you know, we're working with people to try to get coverage because, you know, July 1st, people start getting vacation time again. And so we recognize that, you know, we're going to have some open shifts because Matt was not only just the communications manager, but he covered 3 shifts a week. So we're going to have 3 shifts open there. We already had a part-time shift open that we had hired somebody and it didn't work out during the training process. We thanked him very much for his time. And, you know, because it's a very high-pressure job, being a dispatcher, and so you want somebody that can handle it there. So there's just been a lot of logistical things. So it just sort of makes us think, there's a lot, like during a storm, we'll call in extra dispatches, but if it's a 3 or 4 day storm, you have only so much staff and then you're holding people over and they're exhausted. And then the dispatcher in our center is helping us with keeping track of wires down, keeping track of who needs to get picked up at the shelter. And so we open an EOC, but a lot of the times our CERT people want to volunteer, but they don't come out during the storm. So sometimes it's me and Mike Manoogian running the EOC, but then if there's nobody at the shelter, then I'm sort of there. And so dispatch ends up having to do it. So the thing about having Duxbury is that, again, you have more bodies and you have more resources to be able to handle those kinds of situations. This isn't something that we were really looking at. Duxbury approached us. And again, if there's a reason, if there's a savings there, we have to look at the potential of that. We wouldn't be doing our jobs as elected officials if we didn't do that. And so during this process, we're seeing positive things that we think we can do it. And really, it was the meeting last Monday with police officers and the firefighters. And, I said to them, I said, this is a safe zone. If you say this is the stupidest idea you've ever heard, and maybe a swear word was included, then you need to be honest with us and just say, this is why this is such a stupid thing. And when we got into the knit and grit, everybody agreed it's a totally doable thing. And I think that we could still give a good service to our citizens with the savings. And if you want to do an underride, that's fine. No, really, it's about we are listening, as you know, you're listening to the taxpayers. And so if that's what they want, then that's what they get. So.
Anybody else? Stu?
Do you want a motion to adjourn?
Oh, is there a second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.